Hello and welcome to Unbound with me, Nicola Humber, author of Unbound and founder of the Unbound Press. And today I am joined by the magical Tara Jackson, who is a self-care coach and a writer. And Tara is just in the process of writing her first book. Just finished her first draft. And Tara, I've connected with Tara because she's been part of my Unbound Writing Mastermind, the first round of the Unbound Writing Mastermind. And it's just been such a pleasure to work with her and to kind of witness this journey of writing her first book, and the way that Tara's really embraced writing as a transformational process, which is kind of a big part of how I like to approach it as well. So I really wanted to get Tara on today and have a conversation about all things Unbound and see where this conversation takes us. So welcome, Tara.
Oh, thank you, Nicola. Thank you so much.
Great to have you here. And I usually ask by starting the same question, which is, obviously the theme of these conversations is unbound and living an unbound life. But I'm really curious to know if there's a particular situation or time in your life where you felt particularly bound by your circumstances, by yourself, and how you moved beyond that.
Oh gosh, wow. So many places. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my book is kind of about that in a funny way, actually. It's about growing up feeling bound, I think, by what society almost tells us we should be, how we should almost look, feel, think, what we should eat, who we should be, I think. And it's just like, you go to school, you've got this path set out for you, you do all these things, and then you've got this life. But it doesn't happen like that at all, as we know. And so it's about like feeling so kind of constricted by that life, and then I turn to addictions and ways to kind of release and try and find myself, I guess, feel something that kind of all pervaded my life, and ended up realizing that actually it's okay to be messy, it's okay to not be okay, it's okay to feel stuff, show emotions, not be the norm, what people think you should look like, all of that kind of thing. I'm just going all over the place here. There's so many different areas that I felt bound, and just the journey really.
Absolutely. I know it's really difficult. I mean, I find it difficult myself when I'm thinking about it to reflect on, or to pinpoint one specific area, because like you said, it's so it kind of infuses every area of our lives, particularly when we're growing up, this idea that we should be a particular way. And I think many of us look for different ways to escape that kind of feeling of being bound. And you mentioned kind of addictions there, which can take many forms, really, the kind of things that we turn to. But can you just talk a little bit more actually about when you were growing up and the kind of, I don't know, maybe expectations that you felt were placed on you, either by the people around you or, very often this is kind of stuff that we impose on ourselves in time.
Absolutely. I think it was more self-imposed than anything else. It really was. I mean, I grew up sort of very kind of idyllic situation actually in Kenya, but then, and I was adopted from India and had 2 siblings, and it was actually a really beautiful, very privileged life. And I mean, it still was, but then my mum actually passed away, and my dad kind of went a bit off the rails and turned to alcohol, met another woman, and she had children already, then they had children. So from kind of going from 3 children to the oldest of 7 almost overnight.
Wow.
Seemingly. And then kind of everything, kind of just chaos, it felt like, in my world. And so I was the oldest, so I kind of imposed the good, look after the younger siblings. You've got to do things a certain way. You can't show feelings or emotions. You've got to be the strong one. You have to be there for your family, kind of just get on with life, because that's what we do. And I think being the eldest, I did definitely self-impose a lot of that, and didn't want the others to feel, out of place. It was a protective kind of thing. And I think I've got that kind of maternal type, part in me. So I definitely looked after them and ignored anything I was feeling. I've shared some of this in the book. It's like I only felt some of this for the first time recently, even though it was over 20, almost 30 years ago now that some of that stuff was happening, and I just didn't let myself feel any of it. And, going through just being the good girl, being, like I know you talked about a lot, and absolutely, doing what I thought was right, not showing any emotional feeling, fitting into that box that was, life is good, life is okay, I'm going to keep going, I am strong, no problem, I will deal with it. Basically.
And shutting down all those feelings, like you say, we can shut them down for a huge amount of time.
Oh yes.
So how did you actually move beyond that, Tara, and give yourself permission to kind of get out of that good girl box and to allow yourself to, like you say, be messy and not be okay?
And can I just say, it's so wonderful being messy now. I love it and embrace it so much. So much. It's so cool. I love it. Yeah. It's definitely been a journey, of course, and I sort of started my own self-care journey 5-6 years ago when I reached breaking point when, everything just had to come out. It was, the addictions was going out of control. I was harming myself. I was hurting myself. I ended up in A&E a few times. I really wasn't in a good state, and I was dying inside. I was so I just didn't know, something had to change. So I began the self-care little path, little kind of steps of slowly starting to take care of myself, which then led into more and more. And from then onwards, it's like you realize, okay, maybe I should put myself first. It's okay to put myself first. And as you just continue with that journey, more and more comes, and you start to care more and more for yourself. And I've just rambled on. I completely lost the question that you had. This is what it's like to be messy, isn't it? It goes all over the place.
That's why I love these conversations, because they just go wherever they need to go, and I trust that whatever needs to come through will. But, self-care is so we were talking about the conversation last week. I was speaking with Lara Waldman, and we were talking about self-love and how people can kind of see that as a bit cheesy. It's like this idea of self-love or self-care. It's like, okay, of course I should look after myself and care for myself. But it goes much deeper than that, doesn't it? Than just kind of the surface level view of self-care. And what was that like for you to kind of move from this place of where you had been putting everyone else's needs above your own and just kind of putting a lid on yourself, really, to actually start caring for yourself? Kind of what are the kinds of ways that you did that?
It was very small. It was just starting to prioritize journaling, maybe starting to find ways to actually just be alone with myself and see what came up, giving that some space. And it actually felt very selfish in the beginning. It really genuinely did. And I know everyone says it can, and I did. I felt bad. I felt like I was saying no to things when I should be doing this stuff, and I found it hard. But I just had to slowly start finding ways to connect with myself and figure out what I even enjoyed, what things I like doing. And it, not going to the gym, for example, I enjoyed yoga. And realizing that that's okay. And just really, it was a little journey of self-discovery is, I think, so that's what self-care is, and finding ways to really come back to me and what do I like? What do I enjoy? What makes me feel good? And not that society's telling us it makes us feel good. And it was just little baby steps, little tiny trying, experimenting, and you follow one little thing and it leads to another thing and another thing and another thing, and you meet people along the way who offer more and more suggestions and things, and you're like, it's like a magical trail of breadcrumbs, basically.
Absolutely. And what you say there is so important. There's something there about really needing to slow down and to give yourself time to be with yourself, because one of the principles of living unbound is to allow pleasure to be your guide and to do what feels good. But, as you mentioned there, very often we completely lost track of what feels good. And there are these ideas of what should feel good for us, maybe going to the gym or whatever it is. And actually we do it kind of automatically. And then, when we give ourselves time to kind of tune in and to come into our bodies and think, no, well, what actually does feel good for me? It can be something completely different, which may not kind of look like self-care or
exactly.
Yeah.
I know I found we do so many of those things, like go to the gym. It's just it's like, it's almost like a checklist. I need to do that, that, and that, then it's done. And, you know, it's autopilot. You don't even actually feel it, what it feels like in your body, how it's affecting you, taking time to, you know, to really acknowledge that. And I love that, you know, the Unbound way is experimenting, trying things, realizing it is not the same every day. Oh my God, it is not the same every day, even every week, every month. Wow. Yeah. The cyclical nature of it, which is, absolutely. I love, and absolutely know that you know, encourage and speak about. It's definitely.
Absolutely. So I think it's really important not to kind of have this fixed idea of, okay, this is what self-care looks like to me, this is what my kind of self-care regime is, and just do the same things every day, because it does change. And we've talked a lot, like throughout the process of writing your book, about like the cyclical nature of our creativity, and what feels good in terms of writing at particular times, and to honor that. It's really challenging though, isn't it? Because we're not encouraged to do that. We're kind of taught that we should feel the same all the time, and if we don't, then there's something wrong with us. And I wonder if, you know, working with the people that you work with your clients, Tara, do you find these same kind of challenges coming up for them?
Absolutely. It's almost like a relearning, remembering, you know, that we are cyclical, because it is mainly, I mean, you know, men have cycles too, of course, but and there's the cycles of the seasons and the moon and everything that affect all of us. But it's a relearning that, society's kind of just told us what to do, how to be, think, and what we need, and, you know, each week, and getting back in tune with yourself, really. And everyone is different. There isn't one prescribed way at all. You know, you can give suggestions and things, but everyone has things that work for them and fit with their lifestyle, and it really does vary. Absolutely.
So do you have a particular practice or a particular way, kind of each day, of tuning in and kind of knowing what is going to feel best for you on a particular day? What would you do to help with that? If someone's listening and thinking, I don't know what I want, I don't really know what feels good for me, what would you say was like a key thing to help them to tune into that?
For me, there's two things that no matter what I'm feeling, what cycle I'm in, what, you know, anything else, it's getting into nature and writing, just journaling, free writing, just writing whatever comes up, and allowing it to be messy. And even just like, I'm bored, oh my goodness, I don't know what to think, you know, writing all that down, letting it all come up. And then I find that then I'm able to, that brings up the deep connection and gives me guidance and helps me, and just even unclears the clutter of all the noise that's going on out there sometimes. And just so I can just even be empty, it just feels good. Definitely.
Yeah. To let it all out onto the page.
Just let it all out onto paper. And hence the writing course.
Yeah.
And, of course.
But even, you know, for people who aren't even thinking about kind of writing a book, but that journaling practice, which I have totally resisted in the past and still do at times. Sometimes I know that if I just write all this down onto paper, down onto the page, it's going to make me feel so much better. But sometimes I'm still very stubborn about doing that, even though a lot of my work is based on writing.
It's funny that, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. How we kind of resist the very things that are going to make us feel better.
Oh gosh,
have you found that?
Absolutely. But actually, something I learned about myself on the mastermind was, rather than writing, because sometimes I didn't feel like writing and I resisted the time, was walking and actually voice recording myself and just speaking it out as though I'm speaking to someone, and that was incredibly helpful too. It really helpful, and that was something new that I had never done before. So
fantastic. And again, it's about finding your own way. And actually, you know, I find that sense of movement, you know, going for a walk, really, really powerful. Sometimes I need to do that before I even kind of think about writing. I need to let things kind of move through me, and to experiment with doing it in different ways, I think is really powerful. And again, there's a cyclical nature.
Absolutely. Yeah, literally not every day is at all alike. And I'm being okay with that now, actually, because even when I first started this self-care journey, it's like I have to do these 3 things in the morning, you know, meditate, journal, and move. And it just doesn't happen. Like, not with me, it really doesn't. And so I kind of ditch that. And it's like, okay, allow it. And if I do it, amazing. And I know it makes me feel good. And it's trying to connect more with that, what makes you feel good each day.
Yeah. And as you're speaking, I'm just kind of really thinking about how the inner good girl can show up with our self-care as well. And it's like, wow, I should do this perfectly. And like you say, I've got these things that I do every day when people talk about their kind of morning rituals.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do have a morning ritual that I stick to. I've learned to be very free around that, because my unbound self just won't,
exactly. Doesn't always want to do all those things. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, I think it's been working with you that I've allowed that to be less rigid, or less like I'm failing if I don't do all those things in a day. So, and it's very liberating. It's very, and that's self-care in itself.
Absolutely. Sometimes giving yourself permission, and I found this really freeing myself. Sometimes when I give myself permission not to do something, whether it's kind of writing or, maybe it's even going for a walk. It's like, actually, I'm not going to go for a walk today. I don't feel like it. Or going to yoga. When I give myself permission not to do something, I actually end up doing that thing, because giving myself that freedom, I'm like, I do quite fancy writing today.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just frees something up when we give ourselves permission not to do something.
I always feel it's a bit like that inner rebel that's a bit like, okay, you don't have to do this now, I actually want to do it, because then I don't have to. So a little bit, I don't know.
Reverse psychology on yourself. What I have loved kind of witnessing with you, Tara, throughout the last 6 months that you've been part of the Writing Mastermind, is how your commitment to really kind of trusting your process and allowing that, even at times when it's felt really challenging. And I know you've had times where it's like, I don't know, I don't even feel like I can write, and that's gone on for quite a long time at times, which it does, when we allow ourselves to write in this unbound way, we're not forcing it. So there can be times when it feels like everything is falling apart in terms of our writing. But how has that been for you? Because it's something I've really, really noticed that you have allowed yourself to do, which I have hugely admired.
Oh, thank you. Do you know, it's just clicked. That was a part of my healing journey, actually, was allowing that. So, the actual writing and the process of the writing was a huge part of my own healing journey, which the book is about. So, it's felt really good. I mean, I resisted a lot in the beginning, and I did think something was wrong because I didn't feel like writing. But going through it, and now, like, looking back, it's like, wow, that was so needed. And actually, just like a loosening up of everything and allowing, letting go of these rigid structures and ideals I give myself, basically. So it's been a very liberating experience. It really has.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's been amazing.
That's great how you just kind of recognize. It's funny sometimes when talking about something, you just recognize, okay, that kind of, this was all part of this same process. And it's felt like a really, really healing journey, and actually quite transformational for me in holding the space to kind of witness different women going through it and trusting their process. There's something like so magical about that. And I'm just thinking, when through you being able to do that, it kind of affirms something to me, and other people hearing about it. Whenever we do this, we kind of unconsciously give permission to others to do the same, to kind of let go of that tight control, those tight reins, and just free something up.
Well, you really hold the space for that, Nicola, absolutely. And I think it's testament to you that I felt I could do that. And I loved, the way all the prompts and things that you give in the mastermind were so freeing, and my unbound self was like, yes, bring it on. This is like, there's no rigidity and structure. It's like, just do what feels good. And it was, really liberating, and such a wonderful way of writing a book. It was, I think it was so magical, and it felt deep, really deep and healing. Really magical,
which is not easy, because as you're saying all of that, I'm like, that was my intention. And also I really acknowledge that is not an easy process to either step into. Like a lot of the things that I offer, it's like these conversations, it's like, well, we'll see where it goes. And I know that's not easy for people, you know, particularly if we have these kind of, you know, good girl tendencies. It's like, I want to know how it's going to turn out, and what are we going to do? What's the plan?
Exactly.
Is there anything that you found particularly challenging around that, kind of allowing yourself to go with the process?
Do you know, it's funny, I don't think I did. I think from meeting you, and like something inside me just was like, just do this, you have to do this, and I just trusted it so much. I think for the first time ever, actually, you know, it was actually going to be okay if I didn't even produce a book at the end. It was going to be the journey. And I think this is the first time I've actually allowed myself to not have this clear idea of what was coming. I really let go. So it was very different, which is probably why I just threw myself into it and kind of went with it, you know. Well, so it was a very different experience.
Fantastic. Good to know. I mean, I felt that when we connected initially as well. So can you tell us a bit about the book? I know kind of you like literally just kind of finished the first draft. So
literally within the container of the mastermind.
Exactly. Right up to the last minute, Tara was like, yes, just finished.
I mean, it's basically my healing journey and how I kind of lost all my way, or not lost my, I guess lost my connection to myself and all the addictions I went through and self-destruction and, you know, self-abuse probably, and all the ways I harmed and just hated myself for so long, really, and completely had lost any connection with what I wanted and who I was, and then how I found my way back, basically.
Wow. It's so powerful to hear you speak, you know, about how you were, and not so long ago, you know, what did you say, 5 or 6 years?
5, 6 years ago it was, basically.
Because to see the difference in you now, I mean, it feels like you're talking about a different person. I can't
really
quite imagine.
Does.
Is that how it feels for you?
Absolutely. It's like I found me again, I suppose, which is, you know, part of the story. It's coming back to that essence, that being who, you know, after life happens, you know.
Exactly. And what's it like to actually, I mean, it sounds so kind of deeply personal. I know, you know, there's an awful lot of you in the book.
Definitely, a lot.
So what's it like to think about sharing that? Because I know a lot of women think, oh, I would love to write a book. My story, I would really love to share my story. It feels important, but the actual thought of doing it can be quite terrifying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've definitely been through some moments of deep vulnerability. Even, you know, after I'd written a part, I'd go out walking and I feel like everyone was staring at me. Everyone was like blazing into me, and it's like, no one knows that you've just written that bit, Tara. You know, really so vulnerable in moments, definitely. But having gone through it, and just, it was a lot of feeling and being, sitting with it and realizing and allowing myself to heal, cry, whatever needed to come up. And it wasn't easy, and I resisted still, definitely. But coming through the other end and having got to the place where I genuinely feel I've gone as deep as I really want to at this stage anyway. It feels like it's almost a separate person now that did that, and I don't feel as attached to it anymore. It's really interesting. I mean, there's a bit of vulnerability coming up still because it's just happened, but it's really interesting to feel like it's that's that now. I'm here, and that was that person in a way. It's quite interesting. Still letting it unfold, but that's where I'm at today.
And I love that. It's like, okay, this is where I am now. It might feel completely different tomorrow.
Exactly.
And that's okay, isn't it? You know, this kind of the way feelings ebb and flow. So as you're speaking, Tara, I'm just thinking, you know, if you could kind of go back in time and speak to you, you know, 5 or 6 years ago when you were in this place where you were really struggling and you know, in this completely different place, what would you say to your younger self, or what would you offer to your younger self? who was in that place.
Gosh, it's quite interesting because it all happened perfectly. It's all happened as it's meant to, perfectly. And it's made me, and I know it's a cliche, but you know that it's because it's true. It has made me who I am. Then I wouldn't have been able to write that book if I hadn't had all that stuff, you know. And it feels quite deeply healing, actually. And I hope it, you know, can just help even one person as well. Would be amazing just to see something in it. But it does feel. I don't think there's really anything I can say other than it's perfect.
Which you know, maybe she probably wouldn't have kind of understood or appreciated that.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but actually it's really, really powerful to hear you say that, because you know, I think at different times we all experience those moments where it feels like, you know, everything's falling apart. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we want. You know, we can't see a way forward. And, you know, the fact that you've been through this process, and it's so powerful to hear you speaking about it, can remind us at those times, you know, and I've experienced similar things, and I know I will experience like different layers of it again, but just reminding ourselves, you know, it's all part of our, I know it's a cliche, but it's all part of our journey. It's all part of our process. And, you know, this is actually going to, even though it's challenging right now, this is going to lead to something. This is going to lead to healing and something really quite magical. So it's really helpful to remind ourselves of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So Tara, if people want to find out more about what you do and to keep up to date with when your book is coming out, because when are you're hoping that it will be out there?
In the next few months, like the spring, late spring kind of time.
Fantastic. Tara's like me. When we first spoke, we had this kind of, it was like, we can't wait for things to happen. Some people are like, oh, it's fine, I'll just kind of, you know, leave it until next year and put it out there then. And we're both like, no, once something's done, it's like, get out there, I want to share it. And
totally.
Kind of
the sooner the better.
Absolutely. But if people want to kind of connect with you and find out more about what you do, how can they do that? What's the best way for them to do that?
That's my website. It was tarajackson.co.uk.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll put the link below this video so that people can head over and check out Tara's website and the amazing work that she's doing. So thank you so much, Tara, for joining me today and having this conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicola. Thank you for everything, the whole process, all of it. Yeah. Honouring cyclical women, I think that's so needed, and holding space for that, whatever that means, is just magical and amazing. Thank you.
Fantastic. You're so welcome. And it wouldn't work unless kind of women stepping into this were willing to, you know, go with it. So I really honour that in you. Thank you. Okay, well, we will see you again soon for another episode of Unbound. And like I said, go and check out Tara's website and connect with her if you feel called to, from hearing her story, which was so powerful. And I will see you again next week. Bye.